For sure. I'm so excited to meet you.
Yes, equally. We haven't sat down and had a formal conversation at all, but I know it's been at least probably 7, 8 plus months when I first came about you. Um, it's funny. I search for communities. If you don't notice it, and it's just because like this community of people living with type 1 diabetes is something that like we need this as
Yes,
as a tool, as a resource, as a guide, um, just true like companionship, like, and it's something that we didn't know like coming up, like it was something that we needed,
exactly.
right? But once we find our people, yeah, I think I came about you from, was it Crystal? You know Crystal?
Yes, I know Crystal, and she was on your podcast too a while back.
Right, right. Are you part of the Subsoul Asian community?
hmm Yeah, I was one of the co-founders of Subtle Asian Diabetics. So
Oh,
it was
see?
through there that I met her. Um,
And I didn't know that until you just said that.
yeah, I mean, we started that project, I don't know, back, it was during the pandemic when it was me and my good friend Cindy, who I grew up with. She's Chinese, like
Mhm.
myself, and we were just starting to talk about how growing up we didn't meet other Asians who were type 1 diabetic. I mean, mostly due to the genetics of how type 1 diabetes usually falls, right? So it's usually affecting a lot of like Northern European people of descent. And so going to camp, going to nonprofits, I really didn't meet many people who looked like me, but we had seen a few other people on social media who were Asian, who were like following us like silently. So we thought, why don't we open up and create a page for a community to gather? And it turned into a group. It's turned into some hangouts here and there with people who live around us in California. Um, and it was through that group that I met Crystal. She had like seen our posts around and like reached out. And it turns out Crystal and I were living in the same area in like Northern California at the time. So we realized there's people we don't expect who are just hiding around the corner in plain sight, right? Who you have unexpected connections with. So I really identify with, you know, your thoughts about creating community. You don't know what it is until you really, once you find it, you realize you've been missing something essential that is like enhancing, you know, your experience living with diabetes. It's truly an experience, a journey. There's just so many ways to describe it, right? But I found a really unique niche through subtle Asian diabetics of people I'm speaking with. So I'm really proud of what we did.
And I'm extremely proud of what you did and what y'all continue to do, because I just remember like our conversation, me and Crystal, and I've had so many of these conversations, but they all truly impact in at their own way for the community. And I said we all should sit down and listen to every conversation because we all can relate to them somehow. And when
Mhm.
Crystal was telling me about the two girls who formed the Subtle Asian group, and I was like, wow. I remember saying that to her, like, wow, like you didn't know what you were missing until you found it. And she was so ecstatic, so excited about it. So again, thank you for that. Thank you for that, because that community, we all need this
Mhm.
space. And I'm just going to hop right in since we've already started this conversation.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Chronically Well podcast, where we have real conversations with community that need to be heard. Today, I get to speak with Dr. Allison Ong. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Allison is someone I found via social media, Instagram. I did a quick run through of your profile, and I was like, she needs to be seen, needs to be heard, because there are little girls, little boys that truly need that. They truly need someone that they can truly resonate with. Your representation matters. Our representation matters. no matter what anyone else says or thinks.
Oh,
We have to uplift our community. And sometimes that's just by showing up and showing face. Um, as a healthcare provider, I was thinking that for us growing up, we may not see people that look like us. And then you hop into the realm. It's like you throw on a cape. You knew that you were going to get tar and feathered along the way, but you said, this is what I have to do. And you're
yeah.
here.
That means a lot. It's been such an interesting journey, kind of straddling both spaces, but at the same time, like diabetes and medicine are not separate for me. They're both part of my identity. And, what I've reflected on, like meeting other diabetics who are doctors, nurses, med students, is that we all have this question in our minds of, like, who are we sometimes? I'm at the hospital taking care of other patients at the same time my blood sugar is through the roof, sort of thing. So, we're humans too. You know, some of us go into medicine wanting to help other diabetics specifically. Some of us go into medicine because something within the diabetes journey created this core of empathy that we can't shake. And we want to be able to share it with other people, and help others on their healthcare journeys as well. So it's been a really crazy whirlwind experience. So I started that Instagram profile back when I was in college or even like senior year of high school. So that was before I even knew I was going to be a doctor. But over the years, it's been so fun just finding ways to share that unique piece that like blends both areas. When I do like day in the life as a resident in the hospital, and then I do like a quick shot, like here's my insulin pump, here's what's going down at the moment. That's when I realized, yeah, like this is like quite a unique like part of medicine that patients and providers don't always see, is that niche of providers with chronic illness themselves, not just diabetes, but the providers with rheumatoid arthritis, with deafness, with sickle cell anemia. Like we're all out here and we form a community that, has like really unique qualities, and we can, talk to a lot of patients about their chronic illness and from a really like empathetic and caring perspective. So yeah, that's just a part of my life. That's just always really fun to talk about and share.
And it's on my end, it's fun to hear because you know, like if with our peers, even people that we associate with and work with, we're able to have these conversations often. But when you tack on another thing like a person of color, someone with type 1 diabetes, like marginalized communities and groups, like now we're able to even speak more about it because we truly have the feels, the empathy that
Yeah.
another person has. And I know, like, you've been living with type 1 diabetes for 18 years.
Mhm.
March 10th will be 22 years for me.
Oh.
And when I think back 5, 10 years ago, I would have never, ever thought of being in a space like this,
Mhm.
being able to be unapologetically diabetic. Like,
Exactly. And what I appreciate about spaces like this, and our content creators who are really honest and transparent about what it's like, right? Like I post the highs as much as the lows and the days that I have a win. It just makes the process is just very real that way, right? We're not sugarcoating, like pun intended, sugarcoating what it's like to live and make these 180 healthcare decisions every day. I just listened to a podcast the other day that said 180 or 130 healthcare decisions per day amounts to over 8,000 hours of diabetes decision making per year. So it's no small feat. So congratulations too on your diversity, like 22 years. is a huge chunk of your life.
Thank you. Your diabetes just became an adult. Like
Yeah.
really, like it's grown and it's been growing
Yeah.
with you for the last 18 years. Do you remember your diagnosis or the onset um those years, those many years ago?
I do. I was 11, so I, there being the first in my family to have type 1 diabetes, Asian household, like no knowledge of diabetes. Even the grandparents didn't have type 2 yet, apparently. It was just a huge like knowledge gap. I'd been having symptoms for several months. There was a point where I was caught in the pediatric clinic having a high fasting glucose at some point. They admitted me to the hospital for a glucose tolerance test and I passed it. But 6 months later, I went into full blown DKA. So we learn about the three P's in medical school: polyuria, so frequent urinating, polydipsia, drinking a lot, polyphagia, eating a lot. So went through all three. I lost 20 pounds. I was being woozy at school, really felt off to my parents. So they took me to the emergency room one evening when I really didn't look good. And my blood sugar was over 1,500. I went back at the medical records later in life. I requested them
1,500.
all. Yeah, yeah. I I made a post too on my Instagram about it at some point, but I reading the doctor's notes once I understood what they were saying, and um, I think there was the possibility to have a really negative outcome with a number like that. So I just spent some time in the pediatric ICU, and then I was undergoing the diabetes training there with my parents, who were really confused about why I had diabetes, right? The whole knowledge gap about where it came from, what caused it. So that was a crazy time. And it was hard for my parents to accept it, but they were trained, they were on board. They were basically managing it for the first, 6 months to a year. But around that time I was already 11. So when I got to middle school around seventh grade, that's when I wanted to be a little bit more independent. But it was just a big shock when it first came, for sure.
Right. That shares with me that you are one resilient young person, like, and continue because that 1,100 or 1,500, you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most I've heard so far with people I recorded with was a young lady whose her blood sugar was at 1,800 when she was diagnosed, and they couldn't believe that she was still with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you say that 1,500, it tells me that 6 months prior, when you were showing those slight symptoms, it, uh, it was there. You probably were going through a
Yeah, my
honeymoon.
body was resilient. I wasn't much of an
Right,
athlete back then, so I don't know what made me so fit to
right. Probably
withstand
going
all
through that
that.
honeymoon phase or something.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, even considering like LADA, we know today that LADA, even though it's latent autoimmune diabetes of adults, it can occur with younger people as well.
Mhm.
So it could have been something like that. But when it decided to come out, it came out.
Oh yeah.
And
Whipped
I
fine.
must I must also like in this space, I give flowers. I give flowers to those who love us most, those who stuck beside us, who were there and continue to be there. Your parents. I must give them their flowers because
Mm.
when we talk about stages of life and development, like they remember when you opened your eyes. They remember the first time you reached for something. They
Mhm.
remember your first steps, your first words, everything. The first time you spoke a word, read a book. They remember those things. And you being 11 years young, your stages in development were maturing down into adolescence. Like, and for them to see this now, it probably was like, it reminded them like of a newborn baby. Like,
Mhm.
what can I do to better my child, I can't give her certain medications. They wanted to, may have even wanted to seek other alternatives and remedies. I mean, I know culturally, like I know my parents were. But yes, I give your parents those flowers because, as you said, or as we said about talked about your resilience. I speak about their resilience also
Hmm.
because I'm sure they looked at you and it came to cycle like all of your falls, all of your gains, all of your losses, all of your wins through life. And they said, she's going to make it.
Yeah. I really admire how they took on the challenge. There really is no other option, right? If your child is under 18, this is your disease as much as theirs. And I understood that when it was maybe a week after I was diagnosed, I was upstairs in my house and I overheard my mom making a phone call to a friend downstairs and she was crying. And I remember just sitting on the stairs silently, just reflecting on like the discord between what I was feeling, what she was feeling. At that age, I didn't know diabetes was as big of a deal, but she knew. Being an adult, knowing what it's like to have a new diagnosis or a new layer of life of responsibilities, she knew what it was like to take on that responsibility, but I hadn't come to that realization yet, and I wouldn't for many years. So now as an adult, I can look back and say I truly appreciate every single thing they did to keep me in line. Every time they may have nagged me about this or that, asked me how my sugars were when I didn't want to talk about it. Parents have parents of diabetic kids and also diabetic adults. They have an immensely hard job, and the job gets harder the younger that kid is when they're diagnosed. And I know that from just talking to some, you know, moms of diabetic kids online and what it meant to have their child not even be able to fully communicate and having this disease on them. It's really tough. So I think my mom would appreciate those flowers a lot. She did so much for me back then. Mm.
Yes. Again, considering you were 11 years young, um, headed into the seventh grade, that's a whole nother ball game because look, I've been an educator for the last 10 plus years. Um, and I've worked with every age group from pre-K, elementary, middle school, high school, even post-secondary education. Seventh grade, I tell everyone, is by far the toughest. Like,
Yeah.
middle school, seventh and eighth grade are like, especially for a young girl, a young woman, you have so many different hormonal things that are occurring. You're
Yeah.
growing into your true self. Look, you got boys, you got friends, you got this
There's a
body,
lot going on at that
you
time.
have this
Yeah.
body that is changing, and you didn't ask for any of this. And on
Yeah.
top of
I
that,
mean, I think that's where like I first kind of edged towards diabetes burnout. It was like really a game of edging all throughout like high school, on and off, just being a little bit more, you know, apathetic about diabetes. It just wasn't my first priority for a while. Like I wouldn't say I was like really uncontrolled to the point that I was like needing medical attention, right? But I was definitely like letting a lot of things slide by because I was focusing on friends, focusing on academics, want to get into a good college, do well on the tennis team, etc. So I can totally understand you know, through adolescence, it's all about like identity formation. It's all about seeking connections with your peers over family. It's about experimentation. So I can definitely understand it was such a really dynamic uh, point of time for me. So diabetes was forced into puberty along with me. So it just comes along for the ride and whatever happens, it yeah, it has to deal with it.
Yeah, because we know for the most part, like when a child is transitioning in those stages of like middle school, that development stage right there, um, they're transitioning into that adult role in life, like seriously. And you were raising Allison. You were raising Allison in middle school and raising Allison with diabetes, like was a whole nother ball game. Like you said, I remember my younger days with diabetes, and well, do I remember them? Like there was so much going on, and high blood sugars and spirals and roller coasters. I'm like, I don't even remember a lot of the stuff that was going on. People tell me about my interactions, how my temperament was changing and things. Like we know the different variables that exist with living with diabetes and having to take man-made insulin.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was truly your coming of age, like you said.
Yeah. And I want to comment too. I saw that you yourself had a post just a couple of days ago about being reliant on man-made insulin and how that makes us feel. Like we are in so many ways like shackled to a substance that without it we can't even exist. And that reliance on technology, the reliance on like a third party substance to keep us going can be really like disheartening sometimes, sometimes discouraging. I just wanted to ask too how you're feeling about it.
Um, Truly 100%. I strongly dislike it. I
Mm,
strongly dislike the fact that we have to rely on someone else to keep us alive as adults.
hmm.
Um, we're not children anymore. And when we need something, such as a new script, I know you're a doctor. You're able to prescribe certain things. Um, I have to wait for that prescription, even though I love my medical team and they love me because I give them just as much information as they give me.
Mm,
We're a partnership, but I get disgruntled and they get disgruntled equally. They're like, I can't believe like your insulin is still not available because of the manufacturing issues and delays. So now they're talking about it's because of the vials of insulin and that those same vials are used for the GLP-1s, and it's so much that goes on within that. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard that we have to wait on that. Like we
hmm.
need this and we can't go
Exactly.
without. We can't go without.
Yeah. And whenever I see type 1s in clinic or in the hospital, since I know just my relationship with insulin, I pay a lot of attention to their prescriptions, how much they have at home. Are they able to afford the copay? And I know it's I wouldn't say it's no direct fault of some of my colleagues, but they just don't understand just what it feels like to be so reliant on a substance that we're going to panic if we're on our last vial and we realize we don't have another. And that happened to me the other weekend. I was on my last vial and I didn't have enough to fill the 50 units I need in my tandem. Went over to my fridge. I was like, how did I let it slip that I don't have any more with me? I'm privileged that as a doctor, I can actually call in my own prescription, which saved a lot of panic. But I understand the panic then that my patients face when they don't have easy access to their prescriber's office or unable to get their refills on time. And really, insulin's on a different level than some of these other medications out there. So yeah, it's really frustrating to know that your well-being for the next 12, 24 hours is dependent on how fast an order gets into the computer or whether your pharmacy has the medication in stock. And so, in the past, I've worked with like Insulin for All, one of those an organization that really works like state by state legislation, making sure people have access to emergency insulin and can get
Right.
it from different pharmacies.
I
I am
was a
now in a
local
state
chapter
where
lead.
yeah, laws like I don't even know if Florida has an insulin for all chapter. I've asked about it and I think it's non-existent, or I don't know where it is, but I don't know. I think every state needs to get on the same page. I think it's getting harder and harder nowadays to do that.
Right. Um, I did want to get your perspective since we were just talking about the insulin, your perspective being someone who can uh, prescribe medications, working in a clinical field, when you see or know that insulin is being used, like within your setting,
Hmm.
and knowing that if a vial of insulin is opened
Hmm.
and it's administered, even when the patient like the patient is gone, you have to toss it out. Like I've heard so many stories of that, and me being a person who like I tell people no one goes without insulin on my watch. Like if I know you need insulin, I'm reaching everywhere in the world. Like I have people everywhere and I make sure people get it. But to know that in a even like in a hospital setting where patients need insulin or diabetic, and if they get, let's say, 10 units,
Hmm.
if that vial, that 100 milliliter vial gets open, cracked open, take out some insulin, it gets tossed. I mean, 10
Yeah.
milliliter. But it gets tossed. Like, how does that, does, do you ever like get the feels about that?
Yeah. Medical waste in hospital systems is atrocious. I don't know my hospital's policy for that. It's really the nurses who like
Mhm.
administer and will discard the medication. But I think, I mean, the way you frame it, it makes me feel horror. I have patients, like mostly like type twos who are unhoused, right? Using
Mhm.
insulin and just going back on the streets with a prescription. I think there's a lot of opportunity for hospitals to send patients home with that bottle they just opened. We do that with asthma. If they say, oh, we don't have
Yeah.
any albuterol at home, then we sneakily put in the order for a new inhaler so they get that one, those two puffs in the emergency room and go home. And I think there's a lot of room to improve that with our unused diabetes cartridges and insulin bottles, vials, pens, whatever they used in the hospital.
Right. And I've heard from other people, even people like endocrinologists that work in hospitals, they tell me that they have to get rid of it because insulin, unlike an inhaler and albuterol, insulin can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not in the right setting, don't have the right
Mm-hmm.
information, knowledge, like if you use too much, that can happen. But I also tell them, well, I'm at home with insulin. Like
Yeah.
we're at home with insulin, and that's just something that needs to be shared more so to the general public and the media, that the insulin that we use, as much as it helps us, it can equally harm us.
Mm-hmm.
On us, the person living with it,
Mm-hmm.
to figure out the ratios and how to maneuver that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just a pull. Sometimes you got to push. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. And that, what those doctors had to say about like insulin being harmful, and maybe that's a reason they're not giving it to people when they discharge. Well, I'd argue people overdose on medications intentionally all the
all
time,
the
and we're still
time.
giving out bottles and bottles of everything people can kill themselves with. So, but yeah, and then to comment on, you know, the ratios and all the work and all the math that we have to do on a daily basis. I have a fun time teaching other residents and other nurses what a insulin to carb ratio is, or an insulin sensitivity factor, and showing them the settings in our pumps. And I often get the question like, what if you miscalculate? Well, when a patient has a low blood sugar in the hospital, that's what happens to me. If I miscalculate, I can take myself very dangerously low. And so, yeah, it is that relationship with insulin that it is both something that saves us and something that can harm us is very scary. And I used to, and I still do have a lot of low anxiety. As a kid, I used to keep myself a little higher on purpose, just, for that reason. I think it's a pretty common problem or common sentiment among us. So, but I think you're inspired me, Willie, to inquire about what my hospital is doing with
Look,
with
that's a part
unused
of,
insulin. I want to ask some questions this week.
and you're inspiring me also because I'm up here thinking like having these conversations with you because I've been working on creating like one pagers to share with different medical facilities, um,
Oh,
primarily ones that are like in I guess we consider like disenfranchised communities, because a lot of people are still using that sheet from 30 years ago, like,
mm,
and yeah, I'm just listening to you and I'm like, so a lot of them are truly empathetic and they want to hear the ins and outs, the nuances of living with insulin dependence. And when you said like anytime you get a chance to, like with your coworkers, your peers, like you let them know like about the ratios. And I'm like, oh, she's a big science and math person. Like that's me all the way. I absolutely love science and love math, like and history. But like those are my things.
mm.
And if we didn't have this conversation, I wouldn't know that about you. It just gives us another sense of like connection. Because like you said, like you were headed into seventh grade when you were diagnosed. And I'm like, you were going through those the different variables, just in like with your intellect, being able to share with people what's going on with you, because we know that when you get this diagnosis, there's many different things thrown at you, many darts. There's darts of fear, darts of anxiety. There's just from the swings and emotional distress that you're dealing with. You got your peers who are looking at you like, what's going on? She wasn't like this a week ago. like I don't know what to do with her. And then like you mentioned playing tennis like in high school,
Hmm.
and then you have athletics. You have so many different things going on, so many darts being thrown at you, but you still able to dodge them. You're like Neo in the Matrix. Like
Yeah.
this is
No, not today.
Allie in the Matrix. Like,
I know.
and then you're able to just suit up and help out the next person to like you wear a cape.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm still dodging a lot of darts in the matrix every day. I wish
Look,
there was a recipe for being a good diabetic.
look, between the Joker, the Penguin, Bane, they were all after Batman. He was still able to like duck and dodge all those darts and still help out the community that he needed to serve.
Mm, thank you. That means a lot. I think talking diabetics to other diabetics is like we know just how much it takes every day. And
We get it.
we don't live with other diabetics usually. Some people do. Some people have parents who are type 1s. I had a good friend who's like his brother and his dad were type 1s. So then it becomes like the talk of the house, right? But it's not every day you get to have a conversation like this.
Mhm. Um, I didn't even ask you, what kind of doctor are you?
Yeah, so I do internal medicine and
Intern.
pediatrics. So I see all ages, kids to adults. And so that means I've seen type 1s on the pediatric side and on the adult side, which I think is really for me, I just love both pediatric and adult care for many reasons, and particularly adolescent medicine and young adult transitions and chronic illness. I think that's specifically what brought me to my field. Um, but it's because we see all age ranges that I have a particular interest in young adults. Where did the disparities and chronic illness outcomes come from? You know, adolescent development, one thing, social determinants of health, huge thing, huge thing. and how can I support not only diabetics but other young adults with chronic illness as they transition from pediatric to adult life as they're coming into themselves. That's really the niche I love. My focus is, besides adolescent medicine, or like urban health. I do a lot of um, like work with my schools, like different community projects. So that's always been like a huge angle. And having both kids, seeing both kids and adults really like allows me to see like a lot of the spaces that um, people can work in to really try and tackle healthcare inequities in big cities. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed what you just said, like how you're working all of these different branches, basically. Like there's this tree and all these different branches. Even
Yeah.
though you went through all of these years of schooling, residency, everything, you're still learning. You're
Hmm.
still teaching.
Yeah.
You're still doing the research. Like you're showing people who live with young people who live with chronic health conditions that I'm able to do it. I continue to do it. And you don't even have to say it, but they see you. I'm pretty sure you have people that come into office and be like, "How old are you? Like, you look young as me." Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm still a resident, but yeah, people are like, "Are you a
right,
student?" I'm like, actually, I'm not.
right. And just you sharing the information you just shared helps with people who suffer from things such as white coat syndrome. Like,
Mm.
because you're telling us, you're telling me, Will, you're a person with diabetes. I'm going to check to see what we do with that insulin. I remember being a young person from adolescence to young adulthood, dealing with it and the nuances of it. So I have that perspective and I'm not going to share fully like my own story, my own diagnosis and pin it on you, but I understand you. Like that's where white coat syndrome typically spews from, like that lack of understanding.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, and we need more people like you. You're
I,
you're a resource to everyone so that they can see you and that they can form better understandings and opinions on what their teams
mm,
could be.
yeah. And that's what I strive to be, as a resource to my patients. I always I don't ever want to judge a patient for where they've been, what they're doing now. All I can do is help them understand them in the moment, help them get where they want to be, right? And I encourage, everyone, if they're shopping for an endocrinologist, if they're shopping for a doctor that truly hears them, look for the doctors who turn and face you during the conversation. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're drowning in notes. Like, I'll say that. We drown in paperwork, but I really make it a point to turn away from the computer and face my patient, face my person. That's how these conversations are going to get deep about how hard diabetes is for you. What are you really struggling with? Is if you are having a really genuine connection, invested connection with your provider. And I've had different diabetes doctors and just regular other doctors over the years, when I go to the office for something I need, and I can tell the difference. I can tell who I'm going to trust, who I'm going to share more with, maybe. So I just encourage everyone to, look for people like that. And yes, give them praise and give them positive reinforcement. Doc, I really like our conversation today. I just love that. You were able to hear me and I was able to share my story about diabetes and how I've been truly feeling. So I really
Mhm.
encourage everyone to seek that connection with their medical team. It's going to make like decision making and communication so much better. And I'm on a mission too to help, even though I'm not going to go into endocrinology specifically, but on a mission to help other, um, people taking care of diabetes to really understand where we're coming from and what we need to learn about, what we need to hear when we're adults, what we may have forgotten because we got diagnosed so long ago, so.
You're making little Allie proud.
I hope so. I think she'd be proud of me.
She would be. Because like I didn't ask you like how you got into medicine or becoming a doctor, but you stated that like when you were younger, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, through those years, like how diabetes was on the back end, right?
Hmm.
And then like you spoke about how you love working with young adults because you remember. Like you
Yeah.
remember.
Time
Dang.
of great
Look,
need. Yeah.
I gotta put that on here and maybe a show title. You remember the Michael Jackson song? Remember the time?
I need to go listen to more of his discography. I am sadly under-listened on
Do you
Michael
remember the
Jackson.
time? It's look, you'll hear it afterwards. But
Okay.
yeah, you're doing the things that need to be done because even coming from your perspective as working in internal medicine, we know that there are many different studies, clinical trials that are available, but we need more people that look like us involved in them
Hmm.
because that's the only way that the data truly shows true value
Hmm.
because everyone's not the same.
1000%. Yeah. We need a lot more enrollment of people of color, of people of different socioeconomic backgrounds enrolled in our studies. And we know from the most recent data, just the health disparities that exist with access to diabetes technology, who are insulin pumps being offered to. There's been several studies coming out. I don't know the exact numbers, but Black diabetic kids not being offered insulin pump technology, CGM technology at the same rates as non-Black kids due to stereotyping and misbelief that certain groups of people cannot handle or manage
Mhm.
technology. I think it's a shame. And there's not directly, but there's a wonderful nurse who works at my hospital who has a diabetic teenager, and she says her diabetes is so out of control, but they won't put her on the pump because they don't think she'll be able to manage it, and she needs to get her diabetes under control first. And I said, what? The latest standards, the 2025 standards from the American Diabetes Association advocates or recommends, I should say, as early initiation of diabetes technology as you can, because
Mhm.
that's going to make your control better.
And
And so
AID systems.
we need to be circulating that around, right? We, of course, need to be evaluating people, to see that they can, manage the technology reasonably, but we can't be holding that back from anyone who deserves it, needs it, because of stereotyping that we may have. So
Yeah,
makes me mad.
I've had some conversations more recently about like people like when someone is newly diagnosed, like we deserve the same education, the
Hmm.
same the same guided principles and resources. We all deserve that.
Yes.
And if like when young people are diagnosed, not only does general practitioner come in, endocrinologist, you also have someone who deals in mental health.
Yeah.
They can do a brief evaluation of this family and see
Hmm.
like if they need if first you offer that education
Hmm.
and you from that intake you can say or see like does this family need assistance with learning about this technology. And if they
Mhm.
do, then we can put them or we can share with them resources, communities, courses, like online plate spaces for that so that they can
Mhm.
learn that.
Yeah,
Everyone deserves the best from the jump. Like,
exactly.
and I hope you write that down.
Yeah,
Look,
no,
we got look, yeah, from the beginning, we
from
deserve
the
to be
beginning.
able to do our best.
Exactly. We can't have assumptions made about us, about what we can and can't handle. We just need to have people need to initiate those conversations with patients and their families. They're already overwhelmed as it is. It's your job as the provider, as the medical team, to find out what they need and make sure they have all the tools in their toolkit to succeed.
You've been living with type 1 diabetes for 18 years. Do you mind me calling you Allie?
Yeah, call me Allie.
Okay, okay. Allie, you've been living with type 1 diabetes for 18 years. You've seen a lot of changes in care, from faster acting insulins to the technology, um, AID systems today. Like, and you have a choice on what you can use, right?
Mhm.
Like, even if you want it, you can go back and use 70/30.
Yeah.
NPH and regular if you want.
If I really
It's an
wanted to, I really could take
right. It's
myself a
a
step back to the Stone Age.
yeah. It's an option.
Yeah.
Everyone should be given those options from day one. I did want to know, like, because today you are a doctor that works in internal medicine with communities. Do people, um, or do you still get like some misunderstandings? Like people come to you and they're like misunderstood on how you care for yourself, and they expect you to know more, be able to do more, or be better as a person living with diabetes.
I think a lot of people assume that I am not only a diabetes expert, that I have all this knowledge somewhere, but that I have excellent control of my diabetes. Two misconceptions. Of course, I feel like I know about diabetes more than the average person, but that
Mhm.
comes from lived experience. It doesn't mean that I am sitting down and like reading diabetes journals every day because I'm not an endocrinologist. So I don't have all these, like, I can't pull these clinical trials, from my head because I'm not actually academically studying it. So that's the one, yeah, that's one misconception. And then, but even when my diabetes is not under great control on that particular hour, particular day, people know they can come to me and ask, hey, I got a patient on the other floor. I'm wondering if you can come visit them and stop by because they were newly diagnosed. Or, hey, can you show me what it means when the Humalog bottle says, like, 100 units per whatever. So, yeah, in that sense, people do like come to me for diabetes specific questions, and I love it. I love it, and it gives me opportunities for me to learn more myself and say, hey, yeah, I don't know as much about that topic right now, so I'm going to do some reading because I know where to find it, or I know who's like which groups are studying it. Um, so I think it gives me a lot of opportunity to grow, and I'm constantly engaging in discussion about it, or considered somewhat of a guru, even though I'm not. So that's a good question.
Right. People call me a diabetes guru. It was probably about 4 years ago, and I'm like, I work like in public health and everything, working as a trauma therapist. But
Hmm.
I said, like, diabetes is my thing. Like, diabetes is our thing, right? And people ask. So I asked you that question because people often ask me, like, you talk about diabetes so much, but to them, to a lot of people, and I understand this, to a lot of people, they choose not to speak about it as much because, like internally, diabetes for them is like still like a huge burden.
Hmm.
It is a burden because it takes away a lot of our time. Um, but diabetes has gifted me so much more. Uh, I love people. I love community. I love being able to heal and
So,
help other people along this journey.
hmm.
Like this is a journey. And hopefully, like these measurable steps that we've taken, we're able to share them with others so that they can even just hop on the path to the journey.
Hmm.
Like there's no there's no mirror image of diabetes. There's no one size fits all. So I wanted to ask, how do you, Allie, how do you like take a break from that? Like because you say like at the hospital or in and like different settings, people were like, can you come and check on this? And with diabetes, even though that's not like you're not the endocrinologist, you're not the diabetes educator, you're not the RN. Like, how do you take a break?
I take a break. I guess it's not happening so frequently that I'm like, I need a break. Stop talking to me about diabetes. But some days I just really don't want to hear it more for myself. I'm always happy, always excited to see and help others about their diabetes. But when it's me, it's like I want a break from my own diabetes. It
Ah, I gotta
just,
knock on wood.
I know. But it's all about like what you can do to compartmentalize, right? Like I really immerse myself in activities like outside medicine that I care about. Things like rock climbing, one of my hobbies, or when I have time to do some art, some drawing and painting, I am locked in. Or when I'm out socializing with friends, diabetes doesn't come up like all the time, right? It actually rarely does, I'd say, unless they're asking me a question about my insulin pump because I'm bolusing in front of them, right? So balance and wellness in diabetes is knowing that yes, you can detach safely. It's all over us. It's all over our identity. It's like we have physical reminders of it in our pocket, on our skin, in our purse when we're digging through and finding all the test strips, right? But I think really learning how to detach yourself and say, I'm not a diabetic right now, I am an artist, or I am here, I'm a girlfriend right now, or I am a cat owner right now. Like we are not going to think about diabetes. I'm going to make sure I'm good and then I'm going to turn that off. I think that's one way I've really like learned how to just take a break is investing in the different areas of myself that have nothing to do with diabetes. Hard, climbing is a sport, right? If you're always thinking about your exercise and blood sugars, right? But if you set yourself up well enough, then you can forget for a brief moment you're diabetic. And I really, really enjoyed those spaces.
You said set yourself up well enough, and you can basically like diabetes isn't there. You took a break, and
Hmm.
um, I love the fact that you like when someone does come to you and want to talk about like you're like let's talk. Like diabetes is your jam, right?
Yeah, I love
Like
it.
I look, same. Like I love diabetes and I love having conversations about it. Like I can go on and on, like telling people about like everything, all settings, all ratios, history, like anything. Like that's what I love to do and talk about. I mean, I'm not an endocrinologist. Even an endocrinologist, I've had conversations with them. Like, I don't want to talk about diabetes all the time. I have thyroids and like, like they have other things that they also aid in. But being able to have these conversations and talk with people has eliminated, I guess, like some of that burden and the
Hmm.
sense of burnout because if we're able to have those conversations with people, and I say this from like a clinical, like as a like a therapist side, being able to have those conversations with people. You cannot bring with you your baggage,
Hmm.
right? Like, we don't want diabetes. We want it gone. Like, if we could take off this
Yeah.
diabetes backpack,
Yeah, if I could, I would.
see you. But it's with us. We embrace it.
Hmm.
And if someone needs help, guidance, support,
Hmm.
that cape is on.
And I identify with what you said earlier. You said diabetes has done a lot of like positive or good things in your life more than the negative. And I've thought that for some way too. There's a lot of negatives with diabetes. Like, of course, I don't want any disease in my body, right? But like overall, I don't know where I'd be today if not for diabetes. I wouldn't be the same person. I wouldn't have met the same people, built the same connections, felt the same drive. And I try to be upbeat and positive when talking about diabetes in the hospital with other people. Not positive to the part where I am sugarcoating it or saying it's no big deal, no big deal. But a line I'll often use with newly diagnosed diabetics and their parents is it's going to be a tough journey, but you have so many people out there looking out for you. And I'm living proof that you can get through anything, right? Someone gave you this challenge, so you're going to run with it and it's going to make you a better and stronger person. And then I give them a list of resources like the little diabetes accessories websites they can check out and evidence that there are like established legions of people who have gone through this and who have got your back. If only you know how to search for them, which you can help out with. Community is just one of the best things you can give someone. Printing out these are the local diabetes camps, the local support groups is just one of the most important ways that you could support someone medically, I'd say. Sorry, that's my cat food dispenser
That's cool.
dispensing
Look,
some
I don't
cat
even
food.
look. I don't hear it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. He must like there must be some noise isolation like with the microphone. Um. But yeah. I don't know if you've seen like I have this resource guide that I share with people and I share with communities, and it has like every resource you can think of, like when it comes to diabetes care, how to get like insulin technology, like everything's in there. And I ask people like, keep on like putting more into it. Like send me all the resources that you have. So I'm going off air. I'm going to share with you that resource guide and add anything in there that you can think about
Oh,
because
that's lovely. Yeah.
it's a one pager really that
Hmm.
is needed. And it's
Yeah.
just a link away for anyone in need.
I love it. Thank you. I'm always like searching. I also like to share Instagram or TikTok pages that person can check out just to have someone, at least someone to see who's changing sites like them,
Mhm.
who's making it look cool.
Right.
Sometimes, it's a little, if you just try to like romanticize it a little bit, maybe that helps.
Anything you can think,
Yeah.
like there's so many things that can help
Hmm.
because like diabetes truly for all of us, everyone I know that has lived with diabetes, no matter if it's 1 year or 50 years, there has been a point in time where we're like, diabetes is too much. Like it's just too much for me. And other people do not understand it. Like they don't see it because it's internal. It's more internal than external.
Hmm.
And others don't see it. And we're like, no matter what, like we still wouldn't wish it on our worst enemy. Like I have no enemies. I don't know if you have any enemies. I mean, you are Batman. So, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish it on anyone because I think I mean it's an individual disease.
Hmm.
It is, but at the same time, this individual, like I've mastered mine, and I'm like I don't know if anybody else can master theirs the way that I've mastered mine, but we still like accept them into our communities
Hmm.
because we have to figure this out. We have to. we will not give up on the next person.
Exactly.
Has diabetes in itself stopped or prevented you from doing anything?
When I think about it, truly it hasn't. I mean, I ran a half marathon a couple of years ago and I didn't think I could do that. Now I won't want a full marathon, but that's maybe out of
Oh,
like
you're not going to get on the
like
Beyond
nah.
Type 1 team?
No, no, my goodness. I don't even run too much anymore, but even looking at something like that, I just think, wow, I was I was able to do that. It really hasn't stopped me from anything except being a commercial airline pilot, which I never wanted to be in the first place.
And
But
it's
I,
happening now.
really, there's
Yes.
someone. That's
Yes.
amazing.
There's a few people with their wings.
Ah, I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's been
Great.
happening over the last, I'm going to say 3 to 4 years. Yep.
Okay. See,
Yep.
sky really isn't the limit.
Not at
If you
all.
are responsible and take care of yourself and be gracious to yourself when things happen. I always think diabetes is a journey of sustainability,
Are you
right?
reading
It's
my
not about
mind?
perfection.
Are you reading my
Sustainability over
mind?
perfection is what I repeat to
Because I was
people, and
going
they
to
need to
ask
hear it.
you,
They need to hear
look,
it.
I was going to ask you what's some good advice you've received that you can share with our community, whether it's someone who's newly diagnosed or someone who's been living with type 1 diabetes or any insulin dependent diabetes for a while. Like, what's something
Hmm.
like you can share with them?
Yeah. That phrase, sustainability over perfection, is something I repeat. And the phrase, having a growth mindset, is really important. I try to like coach some people through it, especially less so than I always mention it with a new diabetic, but it's also when I encounter those teens and young adults who are hospitalized for recurrent DKA, who keep on coming in because they
Mhm.
don't feel like taking their insulin. You know, diabetes burnout is really truly affecting their health. That's when I say, I'm not judging you. And these people in the hospital, they're not supposed to be judging you because we're on a different track than the rest of them most of the time. But we need to learn when we have a bad day is to look at what happened and say, how can I change it to make it better for the next day? If you're high after a certain meal, it's okay. Be kind to yourself. It happens. If we expect ourselves to have a perfect number 24/7, we'll never be satisfied with ourselves. We'll always be angry. But then what's something you can change to prevent that high tomorrow? And can we try it tomorrow? And it's all about looking at every challenge as an opportunity to look for improvement, really. And it's all about staying with them. You know, my job is medical team, or someone's job is as their best friend or their peer mentor, accountability buddy, is to say, no judgment, judgment free zone. But let's keep track and hold each other accountable for those little changes that we want to try to make. Is it working for us? Should we troubleshoot and try something else? How how can we push ourselves to the next level? Looking at it as some sort of like view it as like almost like athletic training, right? It's just like training for anything. Studying for, I don't know, law school entrance exam. You're training to, grow those glutes in time for summer. Diabetes management is athletic training.
It
It's brain
is.
and it's body. And at any point you can get out of shape. But at any point you can relearn how to get in shape. It just takes time. It's not going to be like next week you're going to have an A1C of like whatever 5.5, right? It's gonna take time. And 5.5 shouldn't be the concrete goal for everybody. It's not one size fits all, as we talked
Right.
about. So growth mindset, sustainability, small steps.
Sustainability in small steps. Yes, because like you just gave me another idea. I was like, because often people a message like how do I get my A1C down? And I'm like, I always tell them, I said, it's small steps. Like
Hmm.
I will never give someone a full like thing. Like if you were let's say you go see a new endocrinologist and your blood sugar or your A1C is at 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
First thing they're thinking when you come in there is like, what is going on with this person? Why is there so many different things? Like it's like an explosive, and they can't figure out like which way it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's so many, but just small steps. Like, okay, today, how about today? You decide that at 8 p.m. you will not eat like large meals after 8 p.m. if you're typically eating at 9, 10 p.m. Okay. Because now you have that, it will help with your overnight fasting blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where like our A1C is typically seen during that fasting stage. Like, how about we start with like, I don't know, at 0.25 units
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow and see if
Yeah.
that does a little change.
Small steps. And it's about
Small
seeing a
steps,
pattern, right? Like we need to do the same thing consistently
right? It shouldn't
for
be
what,
drastic at
five,
all.
7 days, right? So it's like making one change, seeing what happens for several days in a row.
Because we know, like, when drastic change hits, no matter if it's good or bad, we're like, what's going
Mhm.
on here? Like, and with our health, we should be the same way. Like,
Mhm.
just take those steps. Like, it's a learning process, growth
Yeah.
mindset, like you said.
And also focusing on one small area at a time. So if we're thinking about in the athletic training metaphor, are you going to go to the gym every day and then do biceps, triceps, shoulders, abs, quads, and calves on the one day? No, no, no. You're going to pick like two body system or two muscle groups or whatever and try to do a focused intervention. And focused interventions are, what we try, and it's kind of like also with doing like nutrition management for, for to manage high cholesterol or maybe to lose a few pounds, is making one or two changes at a time
Mhm.
and not saying, okay, I have to like eliminate sugar completely from my diet, or I'm going to eliminate all carbs from my diet as well as this and this. Okay, if you do six things at once, it's going to be unsustainable.
Right. Because
And so we need
we
to
know
just focus
muscle,
on little things.
right? We know muscle memory doesn't work that way. Like,
Yeah.
you cannot do everything like your muscles and the receptacles in your brain does not meet like that. Like, you can't say, I'm doing strength training, I'm biking, I'm running, I'm swimming, all, and your brain is like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, next thing you know, you're like, you look in the mirror like, nothing changed. Like, um, I have to ask you this as we do wind down, Allie, because this has been a great conversation. I've kept a smile on my face the entirety of it. Thank you. I truly appreciate you. Have you ever imagined your life without diabetes at all?
Wow. I have, but it's just so hard to do. It doesn't feel real
Real.
because it's been baked into my journey growing up. It's influenced different areas of my life, not just professional, but social. Like it's influenced literally every part of me. So me without diabetes is me in a parallel universe, but that's someone else. I'm here right now. So I'm going to make do with the life that I have here and thrive as much as I can with it.
And you are. Diabetes is embedded in us. Like, it's
It
literally
truly
in our
is. Yeah.
DNA. Like now, like it's
Yeah.
literally in us. Like, there's nothing we can do about it right now. We can just make
Mhm.
our lives more simplified, better
Mhm.
for us, and this community does help. But I
Mhm.
must ask you, because I ask everyone this, and you work in the medical field. I'm
Mhm.
sure you have some friends who work more so in the research and clinical fields. And I know I have a lot of friends who do. I had friends who, even during the onset of the pandemic, that were working in more biomedicine, bioengineering, and figuring that out. Today we see so many different branches being extended, so many different windows opening up. We're able to peer through and like, wow, this person hasn't been living with insulin for the last 2, 3 years because of this trial they're going through. And like I was talking to someone recently about like different things with like T cell and Treg and even encapsulated pouches and all of those things. And
Yeah.
I follow the like diabetes research, and I know you do. Someday, I'm not saying today, I'm not saying tomorrow, but hopefully one day we'll be able to wake up. We'll step on the floor. Our blood sugar still at 82.
Mm.
We look at that CGM all night, except for when you had that little tremor from that nightmare. It stayed at that 78 to about 84, 85
Chef's kiss.
all night. Yes, it stayed there. You get a call from Crystal or a message, and she's like, Allie, what's going on? You look all over social media, and it's not just here in the US, it's all around the world. Diabetes is no longer here. It's gone. A true cure, not just a functional cure, has occurred. And we've all taken it because it's there and it's readily available. We've been cured of living with type 1 diabetes. On that day, you find out you no longer have diabetes. You no longer have it, Allie. On that day, you find out, what do you do?
Oh my gosh. Oh, gonna call my parents to give them those flowers. I'm gonna go out to brunch, and then I'm gonna go on a camping trip and not have to carry 5 bottles of juice and whatever snacks and just be outdoors without that fear of being too far away from my car. Those are things that I would love to do if I got an instant cure. I have brunch all the time, but it'd be great to do it without bolusing. Yeah,
It would be
that sounds
great.
like a really nice vision.
Yeah, it makes it every time I have this conversation with people, it warms my heart. Like because I can truly see, because I'm a true empathist at heart. Like I can truly see like you, me, everyone in the community. Like we've had these thoughts, and that's because we see people every day walking around without diabetes. Like, wow,
Yeah,
what's
wow.
going on?
How
Like,
easy it must be.
you didn't bolus for that? Like,
Mm,
yeah, but on that day, call me up, hit me up. I'm going everywhere. I told everyone I'll be in
mm,
Uganda with my friend Hamida and Ivan, who I've recorded with. I'll be in
oh,
South Africa with Neo, who I recorded with yesterday. Um, I'll be all over traveling
mm,
unapologetically with
um,
no
I
bags,
know.
no bags, just
No
showing up,
bags,
just
no extra
showing.
supplies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no extra money,
yeah.
no
That brought
extra
tears to
time.
my eyes a little bit. I was like, wow, I didn't realize how much I would have wanted to just go on a camping trip
Just
and
go.
just go travel without thinking about everything.
Right. Not like we can get sick, but we don't got to increase our basal and
Oh yeah.
all those things. Like there's so many things that go into living with diabetes that everyone doesn't see. But again, on that day, when a true cure is here, we're going to be able to do those things, and we'll still be able to invest time into communities even more. We may not be living with type 1 diabetes anymore, but we still know our people. We still know our community, and we'll all
Exactly.
gather. We'll all gather, have fun, and we'll also move on to the next thing in helping the other chronic health condition or community in need without worrying about how that's going to affect us living with diabetes.
That's quite the vision. I'm loving the sound of it. Mhm.
It's going to happen. I have hope, like true hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, my friend Allie, I truly appreciate you for joining me on the Chronically Well podcast, where we have real conversations with community that need to be heard because Dr. Allison Ong, you are someone that truly needs to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie, for having me. It meant a lot to share my story, and thank you for sharing bits of yours too.
I appreciate you.